Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I do want to correct y'all. It's not hello everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. It's Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. So yeah, just want to make sure you know what the jingle actually sounds like. I'm going to talk through 8 fintech stocks here. SOFI, my biggest fintech position right now, is around $16.52. Doesn't mean that price is just way high and then it's going to come back, plummet all the way back down to a lot of these lower levels. For example, $11.50, $10, or even $9 here to close the gap. My answer to that is probably not. Sometimes you just have breakaway gaps, and sometimes people at Wall Street are just being stupid, and sometimes this is all just a part of the game where if you believe in elite waves, this is wave 1, this is wave 2. Wave 2 is extremely long, which tells me maybe wave 3 is also going to be even longer. And right now, you are at a juncture where you basically just have a little bit of declining volume here to consolidate sideways, which is completely warranted because you can't just have things just keep going up in space. What's dragging it down a little bit is also the upper Bollinger Band here on a monthly is waiting for it to expand so price can go up higher. This is extremely bullish. You have the 20-month moving average curling up. You have a flip of a bearish trend here to a bullish trend. It has flipped from resistance here back into support. All these things are basically screaming that, SoFi's going higher. It's not going to go up in a straight line. It's probably going to go make some zigzags down the way here. It is making very much of a higher high here compared to back in August 2023. So at some point, if this is a bull trend and this is a healthy bull trend, at some point it should make a higher low. The question is, how low is the higher low going to get? I don't think it's going to come back all the way to like 9 or 10.5 or anything, just because there's so much support here down below. But I do think on the weekly, it is starting to get a little bit tired because you see low Bollinger Band starting to kind of curl up here a little bit. So yeah, you're experiencing a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of tiredness. This is not anything that really necessarily is get concerned about, because you can have this kind of curling up over here, and next thing you know, price just keep on going up higher. That doesn't really mean that it's going to stop going up. It just means that this big, giant, crazy parabolic bull trend that has happened for like the last 2.5 months that propelled price from $8 all the way to like $16.50 is getting a little bit tired. It probably isn't going to make 100x, not 100x. It's probably not going to make another 2x immediately. It's probably going to cool down. They might even come back and back test some stuff here before further bullish continuation. RSI is very much overbought, right? Doesn't mean that it is overbought, doesn't mean that it has to plummet from here. No, the answer is not. I'm going to give you an example in terms of why I don't think it is going to do that. RSI for NVIDIA during this crazy parabolic bull trend, everybody was really super bearish here around May of 2023 through October 2023. Price has done nothing, looks like it's going to roll over, but the trend is bullish. You can see the bar and support band is continue to ride up. It's just waiting to find some support here before going up, right? Now, as it was going sideways here for about 6 months or so, what did RSI do? It just completely cool down when price did absolutely nothing. And as soon as it cooled down enough to like 50, it's just continued to kind of go up and made another beast of a move up here, right? It basically went from 40s to like the 130s within the next 8 or 9 months or so, which is a pretty parabolic, crazy move. All of this was happening when it looked really toppy over here. I don't think SOFI would have to plummet down. I think that is entirely possible if SOFI just does nothing for a little while, or even go to like $18, $19, and it just kind of hit the snack right there, do nothing for a while the RSI just continue to kind of cool down before the next leg up. It could correct through price, but it doesn't have to. The Gann square that I've drawn here is based on 360 and 0.05, has given me some really remarkable market symmetry here from arc to arc. And right now you have pushed through an arc up here that we got rejected over here, back tested with this big giant wick, push through the next arc. Right now, we've also back tested arc here down below, right? All of these are actually pretty healthy price action, by the way. And right now, we've gotten not just above the arc here, we've also gotten above the horizontal line over here. And we're just kind of hanging up in space here. We got a doji candle. Doesn't mean that we're going to go up from here, maybe. Or we just kind of consolidate sideways here, maybe even back test the arc here again. And that wouldn't necessarily be a bearish thing. There's just so much support down here. Look at Ichimoku. You also have a very much of a rising tank in here that's probably going to end up being supported. Shell price needs it. Now, if you're talking about the bottom support band, is all the way down here around $11.80 or something like that. If it continues to consolidate sideways, it's going to catch up. I think over the next month or so, it's going to catch up here back to the arc here. So show it needs some consolidation and coming back test the arc before pushing up to the next arc, which is going to be around like $20, is possible. All these things are entirely possible, but it could also just, I can totally see just kind of consolidate sideways over here, like what Nvidia did when the RSI went up to the 80s, right? Regardless, I still don't really see a reason to sell. I also don't really see a reason to buy because it is much elevated risk compared to before when I was buying throughout the entire time. I was buying down here when banks were failing. I was buying down here at the sixes, and I was buying down here whenever price is less than $8. I just kept buying, right? And I'm not going to buy anymore because I already did my work, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. I really don't think this gap down here $9 is going to fill. I also don't really think this is going to come back and back test like 11.5. At this point, I just don't think so. If it does that, that's fine. That might actually entice me to maybe add a little bit more. But because of the parabolic nature of this, I just think SOFI is probably going to go up a lot higher. I think it's probably going to go hit like 19 and 20, maybe by like Q1 of 2025. Or you might just end up kind of going sideways here and correct and just push through that low and go a lot higher. That's also entirely possible. But that's what I think about SOFI. Now, AFRM is a little bit of a different story. If you're looking at the chart for AFRM, you can see that it is hitting a resistance level right here, which is the linear scale 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level, and getting rejected right here, just like it got rejected over here close to the bottom of the arc and horizontal line over here. It got rejected up here at a very logical area, which is a 0.382. Now, doesn't mean that it's going to end up coming back down, back test the arc. There's always that possibility. I don't think it necessarily has to be the case. You do have a rising tank in around there to serve as support. You do have a growing support band by the time it comes back. If it does, it's going to serve as support to push price up higher. But does it mean that it has to come back down? The answer is no. Reason why I say this is because you have a lot of wicks down here below. You don't have a whole lot of wicks up above. Price looked like it wants to push through, but it's just needed to kind of consolidate sideways here for a little bit longer before doing so. I would not bet against a uptrend like this, although if it comes back down here or even lower, that would be a higher low and that would still be an extremely bullish bull trend. But there's no reason for me to buy right now at resistance. There's not really any reason for me to sell here either, because my cost average has been in like the 30s. So I'm very happy about where that is at right now, and I don't really care in terms of the short term what it wants to do. I do think that sometimes the log fifth scale may be a little bit more informative. I think that is probably going to hit the 0.786 here by Q1 of 2025. If it hits 0.786 here by Q1 of 2025, it probably would get rejected right there. Probably end up hovering around there underneath there for a while before going up to the next arc here, maybe towards the end of 2025. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, if it is able to push through 0.786, then you're talking about some potential all-time high, price action there. The 0.886 is also going to be a very important resistance level, which is around $125, because it's also at the horizontal GAN arc level and horizontal line over here. So you have a lot of confluence here. I think this is a resistance zone, but I think it's probably going to end up pushing through that. And by 2025, we have to challenge these resistance up here before possibly challenging some all-time high stuff over here for the years to come. But this is, make no mistake about it, this over here is going to be a parabolic bull trend, and it could keep on pushing up a lot higher until proven otherwise, right? Now, looking at the Bollinger Band, what is also stopping it? This is very similar to SOFI, where you have the upper Bollinger Band. It's just simply needed to expand further before you can have price go up further, right? You also have the current monthly candle kind of in space here is touching the upper Bollinger Band, which is relatively healthy, but it's just waiting for the Bollinger Band to expand so price can go up further with AFRM, right? Shopify is doing the same thing. All these stocks are very much doing the same thing. On the monthly, it's a little bit outside of space, so you're going to have a little bit of a hard time trying to push up too far ahead. But yeah, Bollinger Band is expanding on the monthly, 20 moving average is pointing up. There's really not a whole heck of a lot of things that are bearish about this. It pushed through the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly like it's nothing, right? I really wonder if it's going to come back at some point, like maybe some bad news is going to come for Shopify. It's just going to come back and backtest this area down here around like the mid 90s before further bullish continuation. But this looks like a very much of a green, very impulsive candle here. And this candle over here really is starting to expand the Bollinger Band. So it really makes me skeptical whether or not it's going to come back backtest. Obviously, I'm not buying Shopify here anymore. I've been buying all the way down here, and my cost average is in the 40s. So I'm not going to buy here, but I still find this to be a good chart. If it comes back, great, wonderful. I might even add a little bit more here down to 90s. If it doesn't, I'm just going to let it go and reap the rewards from suffering through all this crap down here, both emotionally on X as well as emotionally on looking at my bank account. But so far, there's not really any particular reason to be bearish. Yes, it's a little bit overextended. Yes, short term can come back to the 90s. That's entirely possible. But it doesn't have to. It's actually getting really, really close to the some of the higher Fibonacci levels here. If you're looking at the log fib level, is kind of already battled outside the 0.786, which tells me that over the next year or two, you might be hitting some all-time high price action. If you do a linear scale, it is also getting about the 0.618. All of these are very positive, by the way. So I don't think necessarily to come back test to 0.382. It could come back to 0.5, shall it need it, maybe a little bit down below, wick down below, back test the monthly Ichimoku cloud down below 0.5 before further bullish continuation. But I think right now there's no reason for me to like sell out and try to buy back lower. I just don't do that. Robinhood, what's going on with Robinhood? Well, is it doing the same thing? Yes, it is doing the same thing. It had a hard time pushing too far too fast because it's simply waiting for the monthly Bollinger Band to expand. But the lower Bollinger Band is going down. It's probably going to go all the way down to the negatives. The upper Bollinger Band is probably going to end up continue to expand. Price is going to end up probably continue to kind of keep going up a lot higher over time. So, is there anything scary about this chart? Maybe. We generally don't like it when things are a little bit too overextended, but things can stay overextended for a very long time. Just like SOFI, I'm not like it looks very similar to SOFI in terms of Bollinger Band, in terms of the RSI. But I think Robinhood, if you ask me, it's just waiting for up a Bollinger Band on the monthly to expand before going higher. And if I just kind of look at this Gann chart that I've drawn here based on 360 and 0.5, which gave me a pretty decent market symmetry here with the arc and the arc and the arc here. Resistance flipping the support, push a lot higher, back test the arc down here below. So the next area it's going to naturally want to go is the 0.786 fib level up here above, together with the Gann line, which I'm just going to round this up to like $50. I think Robinhood wants to get up to 50, and I'm just going to let it do its thing. It's not going to go up there in a straight line. It can even come back and back test the arc here down below in the mid 30s before going up higher. But I'm just going to be patient and let it do its thing. You know why I don't care to buy in and out or trying to even buy the dip down here anymore? Because I on Q1 of 2024, I made a huge thread about Robinhood, when prices in the teens, and there were some prices that were even down below $10. And I was basically slamming on the table saying I want to buy before it breaks out. And certainly it broke out. So I'm just gonna let it do its thing, right? there's no reason to get scared about a bull trend. You just ride it, because sometimes when it keeps going up, and when there's really not any sign for exhaustion, when it's going from one level to another, back test or needed the back test, and it probably wants to keep going to 0.786. If it does, then it's going to challenge the arc up here around the 70s, and then if it does pass through that, then it's probably going to go to all-time high, to the arc up here above. It may be like 128 or something ridiculous, right? The arc is also going to be where the 0.886 is right located. So if you're able to push through 0.786, then it's probably going to hit the arc up here around the 60s. And then we'll talk about maybe some potential high, all-time high price action if the cycle doesn't end here. There's always a possibility where the cycle ends at the 0.786 or 0.86, because these are very important resistance level, $50, $64, somewhere around there. We'll see if it pushes through. Man, like sky's the limit for Robinhood, right? PayPal. Should you be scared about PayPal? Well, maybe, because I just see that RSI is making like a little bit of a rolling over look to it. It looks like this bull trend is a little bit exhausted, and I did the scan chart here on the weekly, and it looks like it's giving you some really beautiful market symmetry overall, right? Where we got rejected here at the arc, and got rejected here at the arc, and came back down, got rejected here at the arc again. And so far, we held the angle, and we pushed through the arc, and we are hitting the arc resistance. Minimally, I think the arc is going to resistance. It could push through and it can still hit the 0.382 resistance, which was resistance over here back in August of 2022. It could push through this arc, back test it, and then go up higher, but you might end up having some sideways action here in the 90s before pushing up higher. I made a prediction a few months ago that I think PayPal is going to be bullish, but I think triple ditch is probably going to come in 2025. Looks like I may potentially be wrong if it ends up in December. You only have maybe two more weeks left. If it ends up pushing up above to the 0.382, get rejected there, and then you just kind of hover around here before breaking out, right? Nothing ever goes up in a straight line. It's been going up straight line so far. So I think it's just maybe a little bit good to give a little bit patience here. Bull in Japan, this is doing exactly what the other fintech stocks are doing, is expanding. Price is above the upper bull in Japan, not as overextended as some of the others, but it's a bull trend, is expanding. It's probably going to go up higher over time, right? If you're asking me how much higher, well, it depends. It needs to break through these FIB levels one at a time. I'm going to make it simple: 100, 155, 210, right? Those are going to be your strong resistance level up here above. Especially if you ever break through this arc, then you're talking about going to the next arc here, which is going to be somewhere around 210, double the price from where it is right now. And that could happen within the next year or two or three, who knows? But as long as it breaks through the arc, maybe even back test it, then the next arc is going to be where it's going to gravitate to, which is basically going to talk about like a double price maybe over the next 2 years or so. Is it fast enough for you? I don't know. But I think the added benefit of PayPal is also a good valuation play. I think that it's going to actually be relatively safe to be in, especially the bear trend has flipped to a bull trend very, very convincingly. And I don't think it's that overextended compared to the other stocks, Square, what do I think about Square? It's not as overextended as the other because it's still within the upper bowl in Japan here. Not like SOFI, not like AFRM, not like Shopify, not like Robinhood, right? It is a little bit of beginning, if you will, of a higher time frame bull trend. The 20-month moving average has flipped from negative sloping resistance to support, right? And right now you're hitting resistance here, both at the upper bowl in Japan as well as the 0.236 FIB level here on the linear. And if I flip to Fibonacci levels on log scale, then it might have a little bit more room to go still, right? With that said, I'm going to switch to the weekly chart here. And on the weekly chart, I do want to say that there's a possibility where price comes back down and back tests the 0.382. You can see how important the 0.382 has been over here the entire time. So it actually would be logical for it to come back tested that, and that's where the Tenkan is going to be at. So you're talking about price might drop down like $10 to around the low 80s, back tested before further bullish continuation. Does it have to happen that way? No, right? Again, like I'm not advocating trying to like sell here and trying to buy back lower. I'm just letting you know this simply because it's possible, and that you have to know what the risk tolerance that you have before making your next decision, right? Because upside, you're talking about, I think 0.5 is going to be resistance up here around 106. Downside is around 83. Right now, it's just kind of stuck in the middle, right? No upside, no downside, stuck in the middle. If you already have it from like down here, you already bought it for a very long time, I think this is a hold. And we'll see how it reacts. You know, it could push through and you'll be happy. You come back test, and that would give you a little bit more opportunity to add more, and you should be a lot more bullish if it makes a higher low before further bullish continuation, right? Instead of freaking out, right? So yeah, Square looks pretty decent. There's really no reason to be scared about it. Upstart is extremely interesting in that if you are looking, well, if I don't look at the my can here, but I just simply do the same thing, look at the others with the monthly Bollinger Band, you can see it's the same thing as outside the upper Bollinger Band, is waiting for it to expand. If you're going up higher, if you look at it a little bit more microscopically, you can see on the can here that I've drawn, which gives you some pretty decent market symmetry, by the way. Right now, we've been trying to push through the arc, and we're getting rejected here by the angle, and we're just stuck in a range right now. Back tested the arc over here past, right? We're just stuck in a range. So there's a possibility for it to just maybe even ride up along the angle up here to 0.618, ride up another 20 bucks. You are finding support down here so far. So there's really not much I'm really that scared about. Yeah, you're not going to find any other support looking at all the other indicators. You're just not going to find it. The big support is really, again, arc, and we'll see. It could potentially ride down the arc here a little bit. It could break down the arc here a little bit and correct a little bit longer. But because it's above of it and is using a support, and the again arc, or the again angle here is resistance, it could just kind of ride the angle up to 0.618. That's kind of where I see it. Now, if it breaks down the arc, that's a different story, but it's spent a few weeks trying to get above the arc, and I think that there is not much really too bearish about this chart right now. I'm just going to let it do its thing. I think it's a hold here. I'm not going to buy, but I think it's a hold here, right, for Upstart. Finally, I want to talk about NU, and this is going to be the last stock that I'll talk about here on this video. NU is breaking down below its previous IPO price, right? You spent a very long time here trying to break above. You broke above, and you had a little bit of a capitulation over in August 5th, but price just shot way up there, right? You have a very, very good reaction down here, 0.786, and it just shot back up there, right? Where did it get rejected at? Right at the 1.414, came back down. Did it back test this previous all-time high here on the IPO price? No, not really. It decided to do a little bit of an island over here. What I mean by island is there's a gap. It's just gapped down. It was just kind of hovering around the same level for a very long time underneath resistance here. And one way to really tell a gap is that there's really not much volume so far. People like bears trying to push down, but there's just not any like volume to push it down any further. So you might end up spending another few weeks over here. Who knows? But the natural course of thing, if this is really a true island reversal pattern, they spend a few weeks underneath here, underneath this, this gap down over here, and you just end up gapping up when some volume comes back in. That's generally how the island reversal plays out. Right? But yeah, this is not a bearish chart. I mean, obviously, if it doesn't work out, you can come back all the way down to like $10.32. But because I think that this might be a little bit of a island reversal, I think it might potentially be a decent setup. You want to scale in here. You can buy more if you want to down here, 0.786, but it might just kind of run away from you. So, am I scared about this chart because it looks a little bit like it's rolling over? A little bit, actually. I gotta be honest with you. I don't really want to get into NU at this point, even though it's been extremely bullish. It's just went really way too far, way too fast from $3 all the way to like $16, just in a matter of like 2.5 years. And this whole area over here looks a little bit tired, if you will. Now, with that said, I would not really want to bet against a bull trend. It's still got a bull trend. A 20-month moving average is still pointing up. You can see how it's right at the 0.76, right? So that could potentially come back, gravitate back towards that area. It doesn't have to. But yeah, I just don't like it when you start to have initially have a little bit of expansion, price go up a lot higher, and now you have a contraction, which basically means that this bull trend here is getting a little bit tired. Doesn't mean that it's going to probably just cool down here before further bullish continuation. It's possible, but I like the other setup here better at this point. I like the setup for SOFI because it's just beginning. I like the setup for AFRM because it's been beginning for about a year. I like the setup for Shopify because it's just kind of re-accelerated. I like the setup for Robinhood because it's only been about a year. I even like the setup for PayPal because it's only been like a few months. SQ has only been for a couple of months, right? Upstart also just started for about half a year ago, right? Whereas ANU has been going up for a very long time now and is showing some signs of exhaustion. So anyway, those are my thoughts on these fintech stocks. I own SOFI, AFRM, Shopify, and Robinhood. I used to own PayPal and Square or Block. I just think I have enough fintech. I'm just a little bit too heavy to concentrate on them. I'm not going to get into more fintech. I'm just going to let them do their thing. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to this 25-26 minute video. Have a good one. Bye.